I hope the means the contents are clear now. So now I will go to the next speaker. So the next speaker will be Dr. Anton Purnomo. He will share an overview of experience in Indonesia. Before I am moving to Dr. Anton, I will give a brief introduction about Dr. Anton. Dr. Anton Purnomo completed his MSc and PhD in chemical engineering with interest study in catalysis at De La Salle University, the Philippines. His post-study in catalyst research was conducted at Tokyo Institute of Technology, Japan. Prior his assignment as Director of Basel and Stockholm Convention Regional Center for Capacity Building and the Transfer of Technology for Southeast Asia, that is located in Indonesia, he served at UNIDO managing project on PCBs and dioxin furan. He also was the team leader for the National Implementation Plan of Persistent Organic Pollutants of Indonesia in 2014 and currently assisting the country in developing its review and updates. Recently, he is assisting regional projects on POPs reduction in textile sector in Indonesia, Vietnam, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. Now I am giving the floor to Dr. Andon. Dr. Andon, the floor is for you now, and you can share your screen and start the presentation.
Thank you very much for your introduction, Dr. Yasar. Could you hear my voice?
Yeah, super good. So
Thank
you can share your screen now.
Yes, I am trying to. Okay. Could you hear my screen? Could you see my screen, Dr. Yasar? Okay.
Yeah, it's perfect. Perfect. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Hassan Azmari, the Director KISER, SCRC-KUWAIT, and then also Dr. Yasar, and also I see here Dr. Roland Weber, famous consultant in this particular issue, and also all of ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First of all, I would like to thanks for this invitation. It is a great honor for me. I will try to share our experience in developing NIP in Indonesia. Okay, and this is my topics. So I would, first of all, I would like to introduce about the regional center and then the status of the NIPOPs in Indonesia, then the development and also advantages, difficulties, and challenges. So as decided in the COP3 of Basel Convention, we were selected as the Basel Convention Regional Center in the Southeast Asia, and it is decided to be hosted by Indonesian government. And it is just in 2013 that we also assigned as the Stockholm Convention Regional Center. So we have a steering committee member that comes from Southeast Asia countries. And usually what we are proposing the activity, planning activity, we have to consult with them, and then they will give approval also in our business plan. So this is our business plan. Of course, we have activities in the Stockholm Convention area, which is in POPs, and then in here also POPs. We also have some activities in transboundary movement ways, which is in the corridor of Basel Convention. However, we are now also assisting the countries, also in the Mercury, which is in the Minamata Convention. So the status of the national implementation plan of POPs in Indonesia, we actually, Indonesia already submitted in the first NIPOP in 2008, which cover only the initial POPs, the 30,000. And then in 2014, where I also involved, we review and update, and then insert also the amendment of the COP4, and then also the amendment of COP5, which is Indosulfan. Okay. And then currently, we are still drafting the review and update NIP for the 2021. Hopefully, we can submit to the Secretariat as soon as possible. And in this current review and update NIP, we will also insert the amendment of COP6, which is HBCD, and then amendment COP7, PCN, HCBD also, and also pentachlorophenol, and amendment of COP8, DKBDE, and also SCCP, and also the amendment COP9, P4, and also TCO4. So, we conducted inventory and assessment on POP pesticide update, and then also on PCBs, PBDEs, HBCD, PCN, HCBD, pentachlorophenol, SCP, P4, and TCO4, and also we conduct also assessment on unintentional production of UPOP, which consists of PCB, HCB, and dioxin furan using the toolkit that already available. We also conduct a assessment, national structure, and institutional assessment, and other activities which is already directed in the NIPOP development guideline. And this is our work plan. We have a coordination mechanism established, and then we conduct the inventory, of course, and then compiling all of information, consulting with stakeholders, and processing and developing the document. And of course, we have established a good coordination between all of national stakeholders. And in here, the role of the Ministry of Environment and Forestry are very crucial, because they are the lead of this convention, Stockholm Convention. And this is our journey, the road map of this current development of current NIP update. Basically, at the moment, we already drafted the first draft of the NIP review and update, and then we are still finalizing the document, and hopefully by this year or early of next year, we can submit to the national stakeholder, and also will undergo screening by our related ministry, which is Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Usually we did it, and then after we get clearance from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we submit to the Secretariat of Stockholm Convention. And mainly in the document, we conduct the POP pesticides, and also perhaps it is also the same case in other countries that the POP pesticide actually is already banned, and in the country we don't have any production actually. And however, sometimes there is still an illegal what you call it, POP pesticide that can be found in the field. And in the past, the government also conduct enforcement, and then the distributor who still sell the illegal POP pesticide usually is being arrested. And then we have also PCB project from UNIDO, and then in the PCB case, it is quite a good improvement of the activities. The particular regulation on the PCBs are being issued already, and the project was also support the laboratory of the government, and then the project also support the development of or establishment of the PCB non-combustion treatment facility. And in the PBDE case, there is also a project with the UNDP, and this also get a quite a good improvement, where in the project they try to dispose the cathode CRT tube, CRT television, and dispose it in the environment sound management with the Ministry of Industry as the leader. And then several depots also were already established for the sustain of the activities. And then we also conduct some, of course, inventory in industrial POPs. And then in terms of the dioxin, Indonesia also reached significant progress when the regulation of dioxin emission is already issued also. And then previously, actually, the government tried to build a dioxin laboratory. However, somehow it does not work properly. And in this year, the government also already allotted some amount budget to procure a gas chromatography that is needed, which is perhaps it's high resolution GC, high resolution MS. And in the UPOP, we also, of course, conduct the calculation of the UPOP emission using the toolkit that is also already available. And then the government also planning to give awareness on the bad map of UPOP specific, for example, in the fossil fuel boiler that is also emitting the dioxin. So the expected output of this NIP update is we are aiming that the NIP should have a short and long-term objective. And the the content of for strengthen capacity to conduct requirement of the convention and support the integration in global chemical management. And the NIP should also comprehensive and multi-sector policy. And it should be also flexible for following convention that always study in the new POPs, and whenever the new POP is listed, the NIP should also flexible to accommodate. And this is the advantages during this NIP development, the third NIP development. So because we have already experienced from the first two NIPs, although the first two NIPs were supported by UNIDO during that time. And in this time, we don't have any support, financial support from UNIDO or from other UN agencies. But since we have already experienced, so the government now try to develop by themselves. And of course, we have the Stockholm Convention Regional Center here that also assists the government. And the good part here is that all of national stakeholders support, and then with a strong leadership from the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, I hope it can be developed as soon as possible. And last is that we also receive some internal technical and financial support. For example, like inventory of hexabromocyclodidecane from UNIDO, and then inventory of pentachlorophenol from BRS Secretariat, the PBDE and SCCP inventory also from BRS Secretariat. In this case, Dr. Roland also support. And then we have also a PCB project from UNIDO, PBDE project from UNDP, and also global POP monitoring from UNEP. And the last is the POPs in textile, POPs reduction in textile sector also from UNEP. But in this, in the last project, the POPs reduction in textile project, we are still in the project preparation grant, and hopefully it will be approved by Jeff and then can be implemented next year. The main difficulties here is most of, except for PCB, most of inventory of POPs and also new POPs are just stopped in the initial inventory. And there is no further deeper inventory yet. And I guess this is also main difficulties because there is some gap still missing data that also give us a difficulty in identifying the priority, especially for the new POPs. And Indonesia currently have a regulation number 74, but it was issued in 2001, and that is that have list of POPs, but we are trying to, because it's already quite old, we are trying to renew the main regulation, but there is a lot of resistance from especially Ministry of Industry, but hopefully there will be a good settlement in the high level official. So the revision of the main regulation in terms of the POPs can be solved and can be issued as soon as possible. And then the POPs here in Indonesia also not really considered as the main national priority compared with the Mercury. For example, in the Mercury, there is already a presidential decree to speed up the mercury phase out, something like that. But in the POPs issue, there is not a really strong what you call it policy that it can support POPs. That's why in some ministries, sometimes because it is not really a priority for them, sometimes they are not also work in the 100% full of their capability. So whenever we are, for example, like now, we are trying to develop a review and update. So it is a bit difficult to get a what you call it information whether they already conduct the 5 years plan from the previous NIP or not, something like that. And the last difficulties in Indonesian is that we also still lack on the capacity building and infrastructure in Indonesia. Of course, the Ministry of Environment already, of course, they have the laboratory, and some equipment are capable enough to analyze the POPs. But for example, like new POPs, for example, like PFOS and other new POPs, we still cannot do our own analysis. For example, in the case of during the global monitoring of POPs project, we also depend on the reference laboratory in Amsterdam and also in Sweden to be able to analyze the POPs, especially in the new listed chemicals. So we have also some challenges here that, for example, like in the contaminated sites of POPs, there is not so much a what you call it action from the government yet. And at the moment, monitoring already conducted, but for contaminated sites, there's still a big issue here in Indonesia. And then continuous risk awareness is also a challenge because, as I mentioned to you, because this POPs issue is not what you call it main priority, national priority. So sometimes people just forget about the POPs, and not even the people in general, but also ministries themselves also sometimes just forget something like that. And then integrated mechanism of the POPs management also still become a challenge in Indonesia. And the last is, of course, we have to improve the financial support or investment from a national level or other donors. Okay, so this is just want to give you a glimpse of a picture of some activities in Indonesia. So this is the PCB project with UNIDO. We have a kick-off meeting, of course. There is a lot of FGD meetings and also training of trainers. And in this issue, it's quite a substantive progress, actually. And this is a library that is developed by the project. And even the national electric company, which hold mainly 70–80% of the transformer, also have their own laboratory. Automatic sample injection make them easier to to conduct a full testing of their transformer, because it's quite a lot actually. And this is the groundbreaking of the facility treatment, and it is in collaboration with the private entity. So the private entity is actually also in the field of hazardous waste treatment. And then in this project, they are being involved, and then the equipment was purchased from the project. So they just provide the building, the people, etc., etc. But it's still in progress, the development of the facility. This is the PPDE activities. There is some several depot collection in several area in Indonesia. This activity is led by the Ministry of Industry. This is some activity in the global monitoring POPs. We conduct we collect the sampling, stationary sampling actually, and we do it for at least 2 years. So we sampling each quarter year. So we have around 8 set of samples, and then we analyze the samples every quarter of the year. And this is also a national sampling collection that conducted during the project. We also collect some sampling from water, bank river bank, and from soil also, farming soil, and also from sediment, and even also we collect sampling from fish. And this is a capacity building activity during the project. So we conduct but the picture's not here, but we conduct a big sorry, 2019, actually right before the COVID, and then also follow up with hands-on training. This is the hands-on trainings. So the technician from Amsterdam laboratory from Professor Jacob came here, and then try to give hands-on training to the laboratory in Indonesia. And this is the activity during the PCP pentachlorophenol inventory, where usually pentachlorophenol are used for wood preservative, something like that. And we also conduct some sampling from first nearby the companies. And this is some the study on the HPCD inventory. And then the team also using the quick screening, XRD. And then the team also collects some sample and then test in the laboratory. Okay, I guess this is all from Indonesia. I give the floor back to you, Dr. Yasar. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anton, for a wonderful talk. Now the floor is open for the discussion. So if anybody want any clarification, Dr. Anton can share this thing. Yes, Dr. Roland, he raised his hand. I think he's the one of the main expert in this field. And Dr. Roland, welcome. You can start.
Yes, yeah, good morning. Yeah, thank you, Anton, for the good overview presentation. One question, you mentioned that you have done something on PFOA inventory. For PFOA, actually, it has been listed 2019, so we do not have yet the inventory guidance. So I would be interested, I mean, what you have done and what is your experience? Because PFOA is still used, it's very complex. The POP reviewing committee have not finally decided on all PFOA-related substances. This means chemicals which can degrade to PFOA. So it is even for our countries here in Germany with research capacity a challenge to really do a PFOA inventory. So I would be really interested, Anton, what you have done for PFOA or your initial activities. I mean, how you have approached this.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Roland. Actually, in the PFOA, we just what you call it, getting some information from the reference lab from Professor Heidi, because we do some what you call it, sampling in the environment. But of course, the actual the inventory is actually still it is just a national information, something like that. Actually, not really giving a information on the national inventory, because it's true that it's still very early for this PFOA. So we just put the information on the latest result from the reference lab that we are get from the project of global monitoring, global POPs monitoring.
Okay, so you have not checked yet in the industry. I mean, like we tried with the short chain paraffins. No, not yet. Okay, good. Okay, I understand.
Not yet. Not yet.
I have a second comment. You said you try since some time to develop a dioxin inventory, dioxin laboratory, and now you are purchasing a high resolution mass spectrometer. Have you already purchased this machine? Because I think that also, you know, a low resolution machine might be sufficient for your research, because today the low resolution MS have really also good high sensitivity, and there are only a very few samples you cannot analyze. Yeah, for example, blood samples you cannot analyze, but that's really specific. So even, you know, even food samples today with a good low resolution machine you can analyze. And I mean, first of all, the price is much lower of the low resolution, and second, also the maintenance and also the let's say the operation is much more simple. So maybe I mean, if you have now not finally decided and purchased, maybe it's interesting to have a discussion on this. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Roland. Indeed, this is very valuable input. Yes, actually, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry purchased one HRGC TOF, I guess. But it was in 2000, way back in the past, and then we have problem in operating it, and that's why it is not
the TOFs
cannot
are
be operated, and then it's really failed tech actually. But this time government already allotted huge amount budget, and actually we are still in the stage of what you call it, getting a lot of information. And indeed we will have another group discussion webinar on next November. So perhaps I will discuss with you after this meeting or next time to get more inputs, because it's really crucial to get or to buy a correct machine.
Yes.
Because otherwise the laboratory people will get hanged by the government because
yes, yes.
they
No, I
cannot,
mean, you can look
again of the.
Yes, Anton, you can look into country experiences. You know, Thailand had huge problems in developing this, let's say, analysis, and Brazil for more than 5 years they had a high resolution machine, but finally they also, it took years until they operated. Yeah. Okay. Good. No, thanks. Yeah. Good progress.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Roland, and thank you, Anton, for the wonderful discussion. So if anybody has some clarification.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we can ask to the other participating countries what kind of activities, or if in their countries is also an activity on developing pop analysis, yeah, or specific pop analysis. I mean, we know it for Kisser, yeah. Dr. Hassan has shown it, but I would be interested, how is it in other countries, if there is any experience at the moment on developing a dioxin analysis, or especially for the Middle East, for PFAS analysis. Yeah, I don't know, maybe if anybody want to react.
Yes, Dr. Roland, I think we have the next session for the independent, means like each country, they will share their experience. Good. So
no, it's better we do it and then we discuss. It's better. Okay, good.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Asar. I will give the floor back to you.
Yeah. Okay. Now, if nobody has any question, okay, then we will move to, like, we have now 10 minutes break. So now we will back to floor after 10 minutes. Now you can just go have a tea, and this will be a 10 minutes break now.